Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Joining me is my co-host, CoinDesk Executive Director of Global Content, Emily Parker. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning.
See you. All right, let's have a live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index currently at $43,655. Bitcoin sliding just over 2% over the past 24 hours. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index right now at $29.56. ETH also coming down by about 2.6% for the day. The DFX CoinDesk DeFi index is at 270 now, just down about almost 1%. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as a leader in crypto news, events, and data. So looking at the top story of the world, really, Russia is encircling key Ukrainian cities with miles of military tanks. The civilian death toll is rising. Global sanctions imposed on Russia aim to drain the flow of funds bankrolling Russia's war. But crypto exchanges are reluctant to block Russian users. Bitcoin was popularized to be self-sovereign money. But now big-name U.S. politicians are weighing in against that ethos, including former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, speaking to MSNBC's Rachel Maddow yesterday. Have a listen.
Everybody should ratchet the pressure. I was disappointed to see that some of the so-called crypto exchanges, not all of them, but some of them are refusing to end transactions with Russia, you know, from some, I don't know, philosophy of libertarianism or whatever. Everybody, and if there has to be legal or regulatory pressure, everybody should do as much as possible to isolate Russian economic activity right now. That pressure will absolutely impact Putin.
So, Emily, it's a tough debate, and it's difficult to say where to draw the line.
Yeah, I think what's really important to watch here is we're going to see, this seems to be a building and like a loudening of voices inside Washington and inside policy circles that are kind of going to be painting crypto primarily as a sanctions evasion tool. And I think that's going to be really important going forward. I mean, that could be one of the legacies of this conflict and how crypto is portrayed. And as we've seen on this show, crypto has many use cases in this conflict. So it's definitely something to watch. I don't know what this means for crypto writ large, but I expect to see a lot more hearings on this topic going forward.
Mm-hmm. And as our guest, Michael Chibanian, mentioned yesterday, he's the founder of the Ukrainian exchange, Kuna Exchange. He was saying, you know, a lot of the crypto folks in Russia are part of resistance within Russia. And so it's not good to cut off crypto from folks like them. So, you know, there are trades both ways of the circle. Let's check in with the markets, which have been taking a bit of a breather right now. The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem. All right, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Knox Ridley, portfolio manager at IO Fund, which specializes in tech-focused stock portfolios. Hello there, Knox. Thanks for joining us. So I see, you know, for the past 2 days, the crypto markets have been on a huge rally. Seems to be some profit taking today, low volumes, not a lot of trading. What's your thoughts on your short-term outlook on crypto?
Short term, I mean, we're focused predominantly on price and price action. And so for us, for this rally to really have some legs and suggest the probability of a significant bottom being put in place, we really need to rally above the 46,000 level. And once we get there, that to me would start shifting probabilities towards that happening. However, if we break below 40,000 before that, then we believe the next leg will probably be in place and we'll be looking to be heavy buyers if that does happen.
Good morning, Knox. While we're talking about the short term, you know, obviously there's a huge geopolitical conflict going on. And, you know, when this first started, when Russia first invaded Ukraine, you know, Bitcoin kind of crashed along with a lot of other, you know, stocks. And now it's kind of on the upswing. So maybe this is all coincidental, but I would just be curious about your take. You know, yesterday when Bitcoin went up again, people were asking, oh, is this because, you know, Russians and Ukrainians are using crypto as a safe haven? I just would be interested to hear your view in general of what the relationship is between these fluctuations and the current conflict.
Sure. And I'm not sure if my answer will be satisfying, but I mean, we studied crypto quite thoroughly from many angles. And We're not into all cryptos. We're into certain ones that have very unique tech behind them. And what's unique from my perspective as a technical analyst who studies price charts is there's not a lot of news moving these coins. You can't look at various altcoins and look at the swings in them and say that news is moving them. So we believe that sentiment has a bigger factor than anything. And a case in point, when El Salvador announced that they're going to be, allowing Bitcoin to be a national currency and offered their program to give Bitcoin to their citizens and wallets, that marked the top recently. And then we saw Canada come out and weaponize their central banking system in order to go after protesters. To me, that should have been a significant bottom for Bitcoin from a news standpoint, and it just continued to go down. So I tend to believe that some of this is coincidental. To me, the correlation that really matters right now is the US dollar inversely to Bitcoin. There seems to be a correlation going on there. As a dollar is going up in strength, that tended to mark a bit of a top with Bitcoin. So that to me is a correlation that I'm watching.
So what do you think is behind this volatility? Because when the Russians entered Ukraine, we saw a huge plummeting.
We had a situation where the opposite occurred, what everybody expected was going to happen. So we're just going to have to see what happens. There's a lot of information coming out about the war going on right now. And, we're just kind of following the price action on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do see on exchanges, premiums for Bitcoin is soaring on exchanges servicing Ukraine as well as Russia. Do you think crypto is being used as a safe haven and is the digital gold that, its supporters say it is?
Very much so. I mean, that is what we love about the tech. It truly is a unique piece of technology that decentralizes and disrupts central banking. It's really hard to really fathom a world that does not involve central banking, but that is the world that Bitcoin envisions, and it really gives that power to people, to individuals. So the more we see situations like what's going on in Canada, where they're weaponizing their currency against people who are speaking up, the more I think Bitcoin is going to catch on. So we really do see that. We really do believe that that is the future, and that is where this is going to be heading. But in terms of it being digital gold, there's only, from my perspective as a portfolio manager who's been studying this for many, many years, there's only really 3 assets out there that have the kind of very difficult to achieve quality of being a store of value. The US dollar, you could use that almost anywhere in the world. Gold, considered valuable anywhere in the world. And I would even argue that Bitcoin now is something that you could probably make a transaction almost anywhere in the world with, just as easily with gold. However, everyone wants to say that Bitcoin is more volatile, and that's just not the case. As it's becoming more and more adopted, we're seeing that volatility really spread out. And when you compare it to gold, for example, since Bitcoin, gold has had a 45% drawdown, and it took 20 years to get back to its all-time high. And the US dollar has lost 93% of its value since 1913. So Bitcoin really does offer a much better, in my opinion, store of value compared to the alternatives out there. So we really think that trend is just going to continue to be adopted and grow.
So, Knox, if we could just kind of tease this out a little bit. I mean, I definitely agree with you philosophically about why Bitcoin makes sense as a safe haven, particularly as a time like now. The question is, what evidence do we have that Bitcoin is actually, or crypto rather, is actually being used that way? Because people keep asking that question, like, is it being used as a safe haven? What are you looking at to draw the conclusion that that's actually happening? I mean, are we looking at, for example, Bitcoin ruble trade, or, I'm just curious, like, what we could point to actually prove that thesis.
We're seeing more and more companies come online in the public markets that are adopting crypto, that are talking about crypto being a part of their business models. Numerous ones are doing that. I mean, Square just named their company to Block. It's a very large company. I mean, they see the vision behind that. So we're just seeing that. We're also seeing portfolio managers and institutions adopt crypto in a very big way. It's starting to become easily to be investable within the public markets, more and more so. So I think people are seeing it just intuitively, especially with things like inflation picking up. People are just feeling the pressure, whether they're aware of it or not, of the current central banking system, and Bitcoin has just offered an alternative way out of that. So, we're seeing evidence of that with El Salvador. That's a tremendous move, a huge move. And now Spain is talking about doing this. So we're just seeing evidence of this playing out. It's if you're paying attention, you're seeing it happening.
Knox, any thoughts on the State of the Union by U.S. President Joe Biden last night? I mean, he didn't talk much about technology. I think the closest was a bipartisan innovation act to help fund manufacturing and Intel. He also discussed, fighting inflation by lowering costs instead of wages. Your take?
I tend to think that the less our government will do, the better off we'll be. And in terms of inflation, interestingly, Bitcoin has been knocked as an inflation hedge, and it's not doing that right now. So people are knocking that. And what's really interesting about what's going on right now is we're in this really unique situation with inflation where the US dollar is going up with inflation, and that shouldn't be happening. That to me is one of several anomalies that's going on with this current inflation situation that we're in. And typically the dollar goes down. The more dollars there are chasing more, the more dollars chasing fewer goods means the dollar's value will go down. And to me, what we're seeing right now is a really unique kind of strange iteration of inflation that I think has more to do with supply chain issues, manufacturing issues than anything else right now. So, I tend to think that the free markets will work that out. I think a lot of evidence has been shown that some of the inflation pressures we're seeing are from global governments trying to shift and fix things. So I think the less they do and the more they let the free markets work it out, probably the better off we're going to be.
All right. Knox, we'll just leave it there. Thanks for joining us. That was IO Fund Portfolio Manager Knox Ridley. Coming up, does crypto limit global sanctions against Russia? We'll have more with Tanvi Ratna, founder of Policy 4.0.
Hi, I'm Christine Lee.
Zach Seward.
I'm Michael Casey.
I'm Christy Harkin.
I'm Isaiah Jackson.
I'm Serena Lynn.
Hey, this is Will Foxley.
I'm Teresa Santos.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Lewitton.
Hi, I'm Doreen Wayne.
I'm Nicholas Day.
Hi, I'm Kevin Worth.
My name is Naomi Brockwell.
I'm Jordan Muthra.
Hi, I'm Galen Moore.
Hi, I'm Brad Count.
I'm Pete Paschal.
Hi, I'm Jen Sanasi.
You're watching.
And you are watching.
And you're watching CoinDesk TV.
All right, let's look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index currently at $43,659. Bitcoin sliding about 2.25% over the past 24 hours. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index is at $29.55. ETH is also down about 2.6% for the day. The DFX CoinDesk DeFi index is at 269, tracking losses of just over 1%.
So can crypto actually be an effective tool for sanctions evasion? I would love to learn more about this from our next guest. Joining us now to discuss this is an expert in central bank digital currencies, among many other cryptocurrency-related topics, Tanvi Ratna, who is the founder of Policy 4.0. Welcome, Tanvi.
Hi, Emily. Good to see you.
Good to see you again. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So, we're starting to hear more and more voices talk about okay, Russians are going to use crypto to get around sanctions, and we got to be really vigilant, and we got to sort of crack down on this. And you actually have, a pretty nuanced perspective and a technological perspective. So, can you explain to us, first of all, is this threat of crypto as a sanctions tool overstated, or is it actually something that we should really be worried about?
Sorry, just to get your question, you're asking if crypto as a sanctions evasion tool is really a threat. If
crypto as a sanctions evasion tool is actually a threat we should be worried about, or is crypto actually an effective tool for evading sanctions?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I think historically you've seen that Iran, North Korea, and some other regimes, they have been fairly successful at leveraging crypto, for moving money around. But I think at the same time, forensics capabilities have also evolved substantially in the world. And I think right now we are at a period of high degree of sophistication when it comes to forensic tools. So you even saw that after things like the Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack and other such incidents that happened recently. So I think, there has already been very prompt action. Like you have seen U.S. Agencies already put exchanges on alert about crypto moving into Russian addresses and getting encashed out of Russian addresses. So I think there is a fair degree of coordination right now. It may not be very easy to leverage crypto to evade sanctions.
Yeah, Tanvi, as we were speaking about earlier in the show, a lot of U.S. politicians are speaking out about cryptocurrency exchanges and, their decisions in some cases not to ban Russian users. I'll bring up a tweet from Senator Elizabeth Warren. She said that cryptocurrencies risk undermining sanctions against Russia, allowing Putin and his cronies to evade economic pain. U.S. financial regulators need to take this threat seriously and increase their scrutiny of digital assets. So I'm wondering, Tanvi, can you walk us through how would a country like Russia evade sanctions exactly using crypto?
Yeah, I think there are many scenarios that could emerge out of this, right? So I think one of the commonly used instruments in crypto evading sanctions is the use of stable coins, right? So you have seen instances where there's trade going from Russia that's sort of denominated in tethers or in USDC, and it's settled cross-border using just plain stablecoin rails. So that very much bypasses the SWIFT system. It doesn't actually involve the banking system at all. And it just goes as a sort of exchange transaction cross-border, right? So this has been a very common, route that's been leveraged. And I think that's the first one that there is concern about. And that's why you saw the move against exchanges, which will be the sort of settlement points for transactions like this.
Do you see other countries actually interacting financially with Russia using Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies?
I mean, I wouldn't really know. I don't know how much I can speculate on the direction that many other countries will take, but I think it has become increasingly more difficult to use cryptocurrency just because of the high traceability that's there now in the system. So I'm not very sure, but, I cannot predict for certain what steps other countries will take.
So Tanvi, just, to weigh in on this debate that's happening right now, there are some people calling on the exchanges basically to block all Russian users, right? And some of the exchanges are fighting back saying that's not fair. We're not going to block all Russian users. We're going to just block, sanctioned accounts. And then on the other side, people are saying, well, that's not going to work, right? So I'm just curious, what is your take on this? Should exchanges be blocking all Russian users, or should they be doing a more targeted approach?
Yeah, I think this is probably, as I had also tweeted earlier, this is the biggest ethical dilemma there is going to be, now for cryptocurrency. So on one hand, you do have a whole people facing very extreme sanctions. I think unprecedented sanctions. There's never been sanctions of this scale and severity ever in the world, right? And you have a whole country that's facing that, and a lot of people who it's not really their decision whether they went to war or not. Should all of them be facing the brunt of these blocks and not have access to crypto, right? Because then that defeats the purpose of crypto. And on the other hand, you do have, an urge within crypto businesses to sort of stop bad activity from happening, right? To stop, funding of activity that will maybe cause more damage to lives and things like that. So I think it's a very difficult ethical dilemma. I think it's the fundamental dilemma of crypto, because as much as you can deplatform people and as much as you can shut things down, that's how weak your argument of then decentralization and censorship resistance becomes, right? So I think it's somewhere, it hits at the heart and soul of crypto.
Yeah, the problem is that when you say to U.S. politicians, this is against the spirit of crypto, they're like, who cares? Like, they don't care about the spirit of crypto. But my other question for you is just to touch on to your other area of expertise, which is central bank digital currencies, right? So Russia, as we know, has been piloting a digital ruble, very different from Bitcoin. This is like a digital version of the ruble. My understanding is that this is pretty far out, like this isn't happening anytime soon. But, we could argue that with Russia being excluded from the global financial system, this could like accelerate their plans for something like the digital ruble. So I guess my question for you is, what do we know about the digital ruble? And is this something that, instead of Bitcoin, is this something that actually could be used for, direct payments to other countries bypassing the SWIFT system?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting angle to all this, right? I mean, there's talk about crypto being used for settlement, but not enough people are looking at the CBDC side. So I think what's very interesting is just about 10 days or so before invasion, Russia had sort of overturned its stance on crypto. I think you also covered it on the show. There was a period where they were going to curb it, shut it down. And then the president said that we might see some value in this. And it's around the same time that they announced this digital ruble. I don't think any of that is a coincidence. But yes, it could be that the digital ruble helps in cross-border trade. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, I mean, the real challenge with CBDCs is not so much in making a CBDC and transacting with it. It's really in the settlement of assets. And that's where you have to put in much more infrastructure than just the digital currency infrastructure. You have to put in a lot of reserve settlement, like central banks have to hold reserves of different currencies to allow for that settlement. So I think that it's very highly likely that could happen with China quite easily, because they already have digital yuan infrastructure. They're already holding reserves of each other's currency. So it could happen, but I mean, that could happen even without a digital ruble. Like it's very possible through their traditional settlement rails that they just agree to settle in each other's currencies. So I'm not sure that the digital ruble will be such a game changer here.
All right. Well, we have another photo from a journalist, Jason Cochran, and he was tweeting about how Apple Pay and Google Pay no longer work on Moscow's metro system, leading to long queues as people fumble about for cash. So I'm wondering, do centralized payment systems increase the case for crypto or digital ruble amid these global sanctions against Russia?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because, as I've said before as well, I mean, the invasion has been war, but the real war is a full financial war. Like, we've never seen anything of this scale before, where you're freezing their assets, you are, the markets are hurting, you're having companies pull out of doing business there, you're having that play out in all the markets, energy markets, aviation. This has not really happened at this scale before. I mean, we've seen some past incidences when, they annexed Crimea. We've seen it happen with Iran. I think Iran's probably the closest proxy. So I think this kind of movement, we've seen in the short run already, there's an increase in whale wallets of Bitcoin, a very high and sharp increase. You're seeing Bitcoin's price go up. I mean, I do think that this will, in the short run, incentivize a lot of movement into crypto. But then in the long run, as governments start pushing back on it, it could backfire as well.
All right, Tanvi, thank you for your analysis. That was Policy 4.0 founder Tanvi Ratna. Coming up, crypto for public good with the founder of Gitcoin, Kevin Owocki, and checking in with the CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor, our very own Nick Day.
Hello, I'm Jordan Muthra, Head of Studio Operations, and you are watching CoinDesk TV.
Joining us now is CoinDesk's own Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor and the editor of the State of Crypto newsletter, Nick Day. What's up, Nick?
Good morning.
So, Nick, we had the State of the Union address yesterday. It was very long. Any takeaways for the crypto industry there, or anything relevant at all for crypto or not?
Yeah, so nothing immediately relevant as far as crypto goes, but President Biden did speak to inflation and said that his administration is looking to counter inflation by working to try and decrease costs for Americans. Part of this is by investing in certain industries within the U.S. I imagine it's going to be something we'll be keeping an eye on for the long haul. But his comments sort of echoed, or not echoed, but sort of tie into Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who, in prepared remarks for the House Financial Services Committee, also said that inflation is going to be a key issue, but he does not see it being an issue that will last, beyond a year.
As far as I could tell, the only technical angle he had in terms of, increasing investment in technologies was this Bipartisan Innovation Act. Do we know anything more about it?
We haven't gotten a lot of details, but it sounds like it's basically, maybe a different version of the Build Back Better Act we saw last year. The focus of that was to just invest in a number of, areas across the U.S. As far as, issues like infrastructure. So not just, roads and highways, but electric vehicle charging. He spoke to the, potential benefits and the, savings for consumers if there is investment into climate change friendly projects. Again, going back to electrical vehicles as one example there. I imagine we'll probably see more of this in the next couple of months, but this kind of seems to be roughly where he's looking at right now.
No mention of Web3, Bored Apes, blockchain, so we're still early, Nick. All right, thanks for joining us. That was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
There's been an outpouring of charitable contributions to Ukraine from the crypto community amid the Russian invasion. Our next guest is committed to finding ways to make crypto work for the public good, and recently published a book called Green Pilled to popularize that concept. Joining us now is Kevin Owocki, author of Green Pilled and founder of Gitcoin, a community for developers. Hello there, Kevin. Thanks for joining us.
Hey there. Thanks so much for having me.
So crypto is being tested in a time of war. How can it be used for good, in your opinion, other than for payments?
Well, I'm the founder of a platform called Gitcoin, which is a place where software developers can get coin for working on our digital infrastructure. And we see a world in which Web3 is being used to work on coordination failures that nation states are not able to coordinate on. And those are things like climate change. Those are things like digital infrastructure. And I think that crypto provides a worldwide coordination mechanism in order to fund the public good. And that's what we're focused on at Gitcoin.
So you authored a book called Green Pilled. Maybe you can explain the concept of what Green Pilled is all about.
Sure. Yeah. The Gitcoin DAO just authored this book called Green Pilled, which is all about how crypto can regenerate the world. And basically what we see is that there's a lot of DAOs and a lot of people in the crypto community that are focused on creating positive externalities for the world, whether that's positive externalities for the climate or positive externalities for a digital infrastructure. There are people who are working on non-state digital identities and UBI, and those are sort of the building blocks of a more regenerative infrastructure that crypto is powering.
I also saw that Gitcoin retweeted Unchained.fund, a crypto-native fundraising campaign to support Ukraine with humanitarian aid. Is that something you're involved with?
No, we're just kind of following from the sidelines like everyone else. It's been great to see that the Ukrainians have been supported with, I think it's over $20 million worth of funding from the global crypto community to defend their homeland. So another example of crypto being used in order to help people who are under duress and war and violence from the Russian state.
Kevin, can you just break down for us exactly what you mean when you say like crypto is good for, these kind of charitable causes? Like why crypto specifically? What are the benefits that crypto has versus some other form of payment?
Yeah, for sure. So, I do think that crypto is a transparent, immutable, and programmable substrate for human coordination. And what we're seeing in the nation state financial world is that there's no really truly global rails for coordination and for funding our digital infrastructure, for example. Gitcoin's very focused on open source software and making sure that our digital infrastructure, which is increasingly under attack, from cyber attacks, it is secure and is well funded. The coordination of that. But it turns out that once you solve for one public good, like our digital infrastructure, you can also solve for climate and make sure that there are financial mechanisms in order to support the climate. And I think that basically what's fundamentally different about crypto is that it's a transparent global substrate for human coordination, for funding good causes. And that's why we're building Gitcoin on top of crypto rails.
Mm-hmm. See that Chainalysis reported last September that Ukraine leads the world among, in crypto adoption. What do you know of the Ukrainian developer community through Gitcoin? What are they doing in this time?
Yeah, so I think that, if you want crypto to go into the mainstream, then you're going to have to hit people in the use cases that they actually have, financial use cases that they have. And for a majority of humanity, their financial use cases are their jobs, not their speculative investments. And we've seen across the world, including in Ukraine, many software developers that are working to get coins and to get tokens in order to support their families. And so this is happening worldwide, but their software developers are one of the top professions in the world. And I think that we're going to continue to see crypto adoption from people that are using it to earn a living and to pay for their family across the world, but also in Ukraine.
All right, Kevin, thanks for joining us. The book is Green Pilled. That was Gitcoin founder Kevin Owocki. All right, time to check in with Crypto Twitter for our tweet of the day. This is from Kyla Scanlon tweeting, pretty incredible that as of right now, crypto and the UN have pledged roughly the same amount of money towards Ukraine, about $20 million. Way to go, crypto, for a cause. But the keywords are as of now, because the UN is launching a roughly $2 billion appeal for aid to Ukraine. But crypto is faster. All right. That's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Also join us at noon for the friendly folks at The Hash, as well as All About Bitcoin at 3 o'clock with yours truly. You're watching CoinDesk TV. Also next up, stay tuned for the daily forecast to see what's happening in the Asia crypto markets.
Asia's love of crypto is growing fast, but what are the hurdles that need to be overcome to get even more investors involved? Welcome to the Daily Forecast, March 2nd, 2022. I'm Angie Lau, Editor-in-Chief of Forecast, covering all things blockchain. Well, mainstream interest in crypto is on the rise across Asia, with more than 1 in 10 South Koreans trading with crypto and almost 1 in 5 wealthy Indians jumping on board. We're going to take a look at why some people can't get enough of crypto while others remain reticent. It could unlock the key to mass adoption. All that, plus a whole lot more, including the crisis in Ukraine, coming up. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world.
Join thousands of NFT traders who already start their day on CryptoSlam.
We begin with a crisis in Ukraine and the latest on the moves from the crypto world to support people in the conflict zone. Gavin Wood, the founder of Polkadot, has donated $5 million worth of DOT after the country expanded fundraising efforts by adding the cryptocurrency to the list of those it's accepting donations in. Meanwhile, the Solana Foundation and Everstake are collaborating with the Ukrainian government in setting up a decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO, named Aid for Ukraine, to raise funds directly for civil aid. However, while Ukraine's Vice Prime Minister and Minister for Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov, has called for crypto exchanges to freeze addresses linked to Russian politicians, Kraken FX says it cannot freeze accounts without a legal requirement to do so. And a spokesperson for Binance told CNBC that such a move would actually fly in the face of the reason why crypto exists. Still, others are acting. According to a Bloomberg interview, Hong Kong-based Animoca is cutting its service to Russian users and stopping the sale of shares to Russian investors in response to the invasion of Ukraine. Minister Fedorov has now tweeted his thanks for the support Ukraine is receiving from the crypto community. Meanwhile, India's super rich are gaining confidence in crypto. According to local media, a report by property consulting firm Knight Frank, 18% of ultra-high net worth Indians have invested in digital assets. Just in case you are wondering, ultra-high net worth individuals are defined as having investable assets in excess of $30 million US. Now, 10% of them have gone for cryptocurrencies, while 8% have chosen to invest in NFTs. However, some respondents said the volatility of the crypto market is making them reluctant to invest, while a third said security concerns were holding them back from investing. Most significantly, over 60% say they do not understand the market sufficiently yet. Could be that will change when or if the government clarifies its position on the legality of crypto in India. You can find those stories and more at forecast.news. Well, staying on that theme, South Korea's financial regulator has revealed that more than half of the country's crypto traders are aged in their 30s and 40s. Now, that's an older age group than the two leading candidates in the upcoming presidential election may have hoped. So could that hurt their chances at getting the youth vote? Forecast's Danny Park reports.
South Korea's crypto market has a total capitalization of almost $46 billion and an average daily trade volume of just over $9 billion. And some of the findings of the first report from the country's Financial Intelligence Unit on the crypto market in the country are very interesting. Among a population of over 51 million, 5.58 million are crypto traders. That's over 1 in 10 people. And while Bitcoin and Ethereum are responsible for 59% of investments in the global cryptocurrency market, Koreans are much less into them, with the two major tokens taking up just 27% of the 1-to crypto market. Not only that, Korean crypto traders are older than some might expect. 31% of them are in their 30s, while 27% are in their 40s and just 23% are in their 20s. Indeed, the two leading candidates in Korea's presidential election, which is just 1 week away, have made promises to promote digital assets in their efforts to captivate the interest of younger voters. Those efforts include Democratic candidate Lee Jae-myung's promise of stronger investor protection and People Power's Yoon Suk-yeol's plans for a digital industry promotion agency. Both are pushing to institutionalize virtual assets. One expert told Forecast that such campaign moves are vital.
앞으로 이제 4차 산업혁명을 이끌어갈 것이 오프라인에서 온라인으로 오게 되면서 이 가상자산도 아주 중요한 역할을 하게 될 것이다. 그러한 확신이 들기 때문에 실제로 거래가 수조 원 되는데 이것을 무시하고 방치할 수 없기 때문에 이렇게 공약을 내놨다. 저는 그렇게 보고 있습니다.
And even if there aren't as many crypto investors aged in their 20s as the candidates may have hoped, they still play a significant role.
주식 거래가 하루에 한 10조 원 정도 되는데 그 금액에 버금갈 정도로 가상자산에 투자하는 20대, 30대가 워낙 많습니다.
We'll be keeping watch for the result of next Wednesday's election. For Forecast, I'm Danny Park.
And finally today, hackers behind a data breach on chipmaker NVIDIA have threatened to release a driver that unlocks mining limitations on the company's graphics cards. Forecast's Timmy Shen has more.
The hacking group Lapsus allegedly stole 1 terabyte of data from NVIDIA's network last week. According to PC Magazine, the group then threatened to release the driver for sale if the chipmaker refused to provide an update that would allow its light hash rate limiter on its graphics processing units, or GPUs, to be removed. NVIDIA began installing the light hash rate limiter on its GE Force RTX series of GPUs early last year to make them less desirable to miners. Demand for the cards outstripped supply at the time, as users found they could be reprogrammed to mine crypto, leaving gamers unable to get their hands on them. The hackers posted their latest demands on Telegram on Wednesday morning Asia time, requesting NVIDIA commit to completely open sourcing their GPU drivers for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux forever. In the message, the hackers gave NVIDIA a deadline of Friday to meet their demands. According to Bloomberg, NVIDIA has said they do not anticipate any disruption to their businesses or ability to serve customers as a result of the incident. Forecast has asked NVIDIA for comment, but none had been received by Wednesday afternoon Asia time. We'll be keeping close watch on what happens on Friday. For Forecast, I'm Timmy Shan.
And that's the daily forecast from our vantage point right here in Asia. We bring you the latest news from the blockchain world. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Angie Lau, editor